It's early in the morning, and then we learned from the patrol officers who were one of the first officers there at the scene that some maintenance workers were cutting grass in that area and located what they thought was a body. It was a female. It appeared to be a white female. No one had reported actually seeing this. Basically, we just had a body in the woods.
I was the lead for the next homicide. Patrol units had already arrived on the scene.
They're instructed to basically hold the area until detectives arrive.
There was some sort of violent trauma on the body. We could tell by wounds that we could see and blood. The telephone switch box was next to the roadway, and then to the east side of that box and the fencing was a very thick stand of brush and some small trees. There was no sign that anybody had trampled through there, so I felt confident we wouldn't be disturbing the evidence if we went in there. By the time we cut all the brush away, we could see into the scene. We called the medical examiner, told him what we had, and a medical examiner and an investigator from the medical examiner's office came out. The victim had received several stab wounds, and she had evidence of defensive wounds on her fingers.
Our crime scene detectives are the ones who gather the evidence for us. We work together with them, and they make suggestions for us as far as what potential evidence could be gathered from the scene itself.
We could see on the panels that there were stains. I had a call made to the telephone company, and they sent out a crew. We gloved them up so that they didn't add any evidence to the scene, and they then had the tools to take the doors off. So we took them back to our office where we had a controlled environment, and we didn't have to worry about the elements anymore, and no one else would be able to have access to it to destroy or change any of the evidence.
Initially, what we're trying to do is try to piece things together. So we had a timeline that we had developed as to when she was last seen. She had gotten off work that afternoon, and this is when this business owner had seen her and Matthew Dowdy together.
Detective Bond contacted me and said that he had a suspect he would like me to examine, and he wanted me to take a look at the prints that were on the door. Detective Netherton came in and we photographed the door and made one-to-one photographs of the prints. And so I sat down with magnifiers and began to conduct an examination, and I determined there were several palm prints that belonged to Mr. Dowdy as well as one fingerprint.
We can't date when fingerprints were deposited in most cases. In this particular case, there was a nexus between the palm print and the medium in which it was impressed onto that box, in that the blood belonged to Jamie Coate and the palm prints were matched and identified to Matthew Dowdy.
We allow the evidence to take us where it lead us. We don't lead the evidence. The print may be the victim. Print may be somebody who just happened to touch something. So we have to allow the evidence to do the talk for us. They call forensic evidence the silent witness.
We have to prove everything beyond reasonable doubt. So probably isn't good enough. We have to have definitely that all scientific certainty, we can assume that this is what happened. There are cases where the appeals court will actually award a trial de novo, a brand new trial. They remand the case back. The county has its own archive facility where they are protected and kept safe so that if they're needed again in the future, they can be brought in. A lot of people have asked me about the question, don't you find it so horrible? How can you stand to do this job? And what I derive satisfaction and a reward from is being able to speak for people like Jamie who can't anymore, and to solve the mystery and to help the families through this process.
This sentence was a life sentence, and I think it was a good sentence to where we don't have to worry about him being out on the street and hurting anybody else any longer.